Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, on this video I'm going to talk about two things. First thing is this is the first time that this has ever happened to me in my life. Right? The second thing is going to be when is going to be the day that you can no longer prepare. And that is very important, ladies and gentlemen. But more importantly, I'm also going to talk about solutions. What can you do to make sure that you are prepared? Because I was going through this video, I actually recorded most of the video outside, but I came back in and I'm looking at it before I posted on YouTube, and I'm like, AP, you didn't provide any solutions. So I'm going to provide to you solutions as well. That'll be about 2/3 through in the video. Enjoy. I just love the sound of rain on a tin roof. It brings me back to my very early childhood. I was coming out here to finish up what I need to do here on my fuel depot. I think I'm going to call this the fuel depot. All right, there's a few things that I have left to do, but obviously I'm not going to be doing that today because it takes some sawing and all that kind of stuff. And I have a small rule about working in the rain. I had a bad experience once. I got hurt pretty good on a wet surface while I was building my house, trying to get stuff done working in the rain. So if I don't have to get it done, I'll just chill out until the rain is gone, and then we'll commence the work. But I wanted to share with you something, actually a couple of things. And one of them is actually pretty important. Now, the title of this video is actually a very factual title. It's going to go something like, I experienced something yesterday that I've never experienced before in my life. And ladies and gentlemen, I went to the gas station to fill up my Suburban. That's the one that I went on the fishing trip with. Now, on our way back, about halfway through our trip back, I didn't stop at any gas stations. There really weren't that many, but I just wanted to get home, right? It was a long trip. Wanted to get home, wanted to get the fish in the freezer and all that stuff. So I didn't fill up my tank till yesterday. First time in my life that I've ever paid more than $90 to top off my tank. And it wasn't empty. It was probably a little less than half full, right? And first time it came out to like $96. And I'm thinking to myself, right? So this is how my mind works. I'm thinking to myself, how in the world can your average middle class American, not even the poor, not even counting those that are classified as being working poor, like that make $30,000 or less, So that got me to thinking, okay, I can afford to put $96 worth of gas in my tank to go on a fishing trip nonetheless. But what about those people that are like in the middle class? They can still afford it, right? Now the middle class, the range of the middle class is very wide. I think it's like between 52,000 and 160,000 or something. So you can find yourself in the lower middle class, the middle of the middle class, and then the upper middle class, right? But even like the middle of the middle class or lower, I cannot believe that they can still get back and forth to work or even be able to afford to put gas in their vehicles at this price. And many people nowadays live, a good distance away from their work. So let's just say 20 miles on average, okay? I didn't get that number from anywhere, but let's say 20 miles on average that you have to drive to work. That's about what I used to have to drive to work when I was still working, roughly 20 miles or so each way. And let's say that you have a really good car. Let's say that your car gives you 20 miles to the gallon. Well, now you're spending $10 a day just to go back and forth to work. Just to go back and forth to work. That's it. Right? So if you make $20 an hour, or if you make $30 an hour after taxes, right? After taxes, you're probably bringing home $20 an hour. So you're paying half an hour's worth of your labor just to get back and forth to work every day. And some people can still afford this. Obviously people are going to work. They can still afford this. What about the people that can't? If you're making 31, 32 grand a year and your mortgage or your rent is not eating away all of your income, you can still put away a couple of cans a week. And that is prepping. You can still put away a few pounds of rice every time that you go shopping for food. You can still put away some ramen noodles. These may not be the types of foods that you love, but they will keep you alive. In the end, calories are calories, and calories, in my opinion, are king. Yes, it's nice to have the freeze-dried stuff. Yes, it's nice to have the nutrient-rich stuff. But if you can't afford any of that, if you're in the upper part of the lower class or the working poor, and then in the middle class or above, you still have time to put stuff away, slow and steady. As long as you're consistent and steady, you still have time. But your time to prepare will be over. And I am talking to those that are in the middle of the middle class and below. Your time to prepare will be over when those that are above the middle class, those that are above that line in the middle, above the 50 percentile, wake up. And I'm not talking about the elite, the ultra rich. They're already prepped. All right, ladies and gentlemen, they are already prepped. It doesn't matter to me what they say, whether they're against prepping or not, whether they call people hoarders or not. Those people are already prepped. If you're putting in a bunker at the pace that these people have been putting in bunkers in the last couple of years, actually more than that, and buying property off grid and all that kind of stuff, it's because you're prepared. All right. So the elite, the rich, those that are considered wealthy, those people are already prepared. But who is it that you're going to be competing against once the masses wake up? It's going to be competing against those people that still have income that they can spend. And when they wake up, ladies and gentlemen, they are going to take their money out of savings. When they see that prices of the things that they need to live, they are going to be spending that money in a hurry. And those people that are in the lower class, in the lesser of the 50 percentile of income earners in the U.S., you are going to be completely priced out of the market. Because when everyone else above you wakes up between the 51 percentile, and I think it's the 80 or 90% of Americans, that range right there, that are upper middle class, when they wake up, because I'll tell you what, most of them are still not awake. Why? Because they can afford to put gas in their car. Most of them are still not awake because they can still afford to put gas in their car. They're telling themselves, oh, things are a little bit tough now, but things will turn around. Well, will they really? When they wake up, ladies and gentlemen, you better hope that you have all your preps. Because if you don't have all your preps by the time that the majority of that group wakes up, they're going to strip the markets. They are going to strip everything because they are going to panic. It's called herd mentality. Now, have you ever heard of a bell curve? It's a bell curve. Yes, it's in mathematics. It goes something like this. It looks like a bell, right? So right now, I would say that somewhere around here is where people are as far as waking up. So they're about halfway between the bottom of this little curve here going up to the top, all right, of that bell curve. Ladies and gentlemen, once people wake up here, meaning that most of everyone has woken up to the fact that things are not going back to the way they used to be. And if you still think that things are going back to the way they used to be, i.e., how much you get for your labor, how much you can purchase for your labor, then you're dreaming, because things will not go back to the way they used to be. You will not be able to afford a gallon of gas, all right, for a half hour's worth of your labor. Again, it's going to stay like that or get worse. There may be little blips that go down now and then, but as far as how much labor you pay for a gallon or 2 gallons of gas, or however long it is, that however much it takes for you to go back and forth to work every day, it's not going to get better. Think about it. 2 years ago, all right, 2 years ago, how much did you make? And did it cost you a half hour of your labor to get back and forth to work? Think about that. Think about it that way. Those days are gone. It's only going to get more expensive now. And of course, we know that energy is everything. So the more expensive that energy gets, the more expensive that everything else is going to get, including wages. They're going to get more expensive also. Meaning what? Meaning that companies are going to start cutting back. You're going to start seeing a lot of unemployment here going forward. But the main point of this video is this. Watch that bell curve. Because once the awakening happens, which will be at top of the bell curve, meaning that the awakening of the majority of the people that actually have the money to go out there and buy stuff, once that happens, prices will go even higher because they will induce price inflation based on supply and demand. And those people that did not prepare are not going to be able to prepare. I said in the beginning of this video that something happened to me that I had never experienced before in my life, and that was putting more than $90 worth of gas in my tank, and not even a full tank in one shot. I think that those days are not over. I think that we're going to have even more of those days where we go to the gas station or we go to fill up our propane tanks. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go fill up my propane tank today. So we'll see what it is. The last time that I filled up my propane tank, I think it was $4.25 a gallon. And even then, I was kind of in shock because the time that I filled them up before then, it was like $2.39. So it went up from $2.39 to $4.25. Something I never experienced in my life either, having to pay that much for propane. So we'll see how much it is today, and I'll do a short video tomorrow showing you. Hopefully by tomorrow, I'll be able to have this little fuel station, all right, the fuel station completed, and show you all what it looks like. At least the outside part that holds all of my propane cylinders. That way you can see what it is that I meant by telling you how I'm going to stack them up here and everything. But we'll find out. And I'll put up a video tomorrow about that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a lot more days of firsts. Wow, this is the first time in my life I've ever seen this. And not for good reasons either. Wow, this is the first time in my life that I've seen a supermarket store completely wiped clean. First time in my life that I've seen a loaf of bread, cost $9 or $8. First time in my life that, a dozen eggs cost $5 or $6. We're going to see those days. So the time to prepare is now. Not only because the things are still available, although more expensive, they're still available, but because the masses have not woken up. And when the masses wake up, ladies and gentlemen, you will be priced out of the food market. Right? If you are in that lower socioeconomic level, meaning that maybe you are in the working class, in the poor working class or the lower middle class, where you're hanging on to dear life to try to make sure that you can provide a decent standard of living to your family, the only solution that I have, ladies and gentlemen, is this. It's income. You have to generate more income. And trust me, no matter how many of you leave in the comments, but what about this or what about that? It is income. And the thing is that there is still some work available. I believe that in the near future, we are going to see a lot of unemployment, a lot. But in order for you to be able to be prepared before the masses wake up, because they will, people are starting to wake up little by little and more every day. But when the masses wake up, ladies and gentlemen, your chance will be over, especially if you're in the lower socioeconomic status or in the first rung of the ladder, as I like to call it. You have to go out there and get a second job, get a third job. I'm not talking about the rest of your life. I remember times in my life where my father worked 3 jobs. You know why he did it? Because he had to. So what do? All of those comments that I read in the bottom, that I hear people saying, but I'm on a fixed income, I can't afford it. You can't afford it, because what you're doing by prepping is you're taking of your labor and you're putting it away so that you can use that energy later on in the future. Income is what it's about right now. Right now, if I were not prepared, or if I were not as prepared as I wish that I were, I would go get another job. And I would grind it as much as I could until I had everything that I felt I was going to need, to include a small emergency fund. That's the only way that I see that people will be able to get themselves out of the predicament that they will be in if they don't prepare today for what's about to come tomorrow. All right, so for you doom and gloomers out there, I'm sure that you're going to enjoy this video because it was very gloomy and doomy, but I'm trying to tell you the truth. When people wake up in mass, you will be priced out of the market. And the only way for you to shield yourself against that is to go ahead and get additional income now and put it away in the form of food and preps so that you can have them when you need them, because you're going to need them. Having said that, thank you very much for joining in. God bless every one of you. Have a great week ahead.